Hey yo. The topic of this video is going to be about spirituality and stuff like that. The topic of this video is going to be about spirituality. So this is like such an interesting topic. This is like such an interesting topic and stuff like that. This is like such an interesting topic to talk about now and stuff. Spirituality and stuff like that. It's like such an interesting topic and stuff to talk about. I don't know. The topic of this video is going to be about spirituality and stuff. The topic of this video is going to be about spirituality and stuff like that. It's like very interesting now to talk about like spirituality because it's like so important. It's such an important thing, like spirituality and stuff like that. It's so important, very, very important. Spirituality is like such an important thing. Look at the scenery, man. Look at the greenery around me, man. It feels great. Yeah, spirituality is like so fucking important to talk about this. In a lot of my other videos, I always talk about like how, you know, like materialism is sort of like, most people, especially nowadays, are like very materialistic and stuff, and they only care about like making a lot of money and stuff and getting with a lot of women and getting expensive cars and all that type of stuff. Materialism is pretty much kind of like the norm right now. Like a lot of people, all they care about is like just getting a lot of money, getting like a good career, getting like all these types of expensive things. That's all they care about. They don't really care about anything more profound. And it's kind of like, I don't know, there's nothing like, I'm not saying that there's nothing like anything wrong with just being like a materialistic person only caring about like making a lot of money or something similar to that. There's nothing wrong with that. If you just want to like get a lot of money, sleep with a lot of women, and get a lot of expensive cars, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just like, I do believe that these types of things, if you're just gonna be like super materialistic and you're not gonna care about anything like related to spirituality and whatever, you're just gonna be like, in my opinion, I believe that your life is just gonna be sort of like not complete. I believe that spirituality is so important for us human beings, that we have like some type of spirituality in us, and we are like we care about like spirituality and all these types of things. I believe that as human beings, if you don't care about spirituality, if you're just like a very super materialistic person, you only care about getting like a lot of money, you care about getting like expensive cars and stuff, and you only care about like the material world and just getting like all these types of materialistic things, if that's all you care about, I do believe that you're not going to feel complete by the end of your life. I feel like you're going to be kind of missing out on a lot of like important like experiences, these types of experiences that you can only get like by like kind of considering spirituality, by kind of considering like a spiritual path. Spirituality is like so fucking important. It's like so fucking important. Spirituality. So what is spirituality? Like what does the word spirituality mean? Obviously, when I say spirituality, you're probably gonna be thinking about like, I don't know, ghosts or something stupid. Spirituality. It's like, off the top of my head, I can't really remember like any type of the more academic definition of spirituality, but like, I do believe spirituality is like kind of like looking into a more meaningful existence. I don't know, spirituality, there's like an academic definition, I can't really remember it right now, but yeah, what does this word spirituality mean? It's kind of, you can kind of contrast it, dichotomize it against like a materialism, because, you know, like there's spirituality and then there's materialism and stuff. I don't know, it's like so interesting to me. I don't know, spirituality, like, it's like, how would you define spirituality? It's kind of like vague and stupid. A lot of us, like people, especially if you're like from a European country, you're gonna have like so many different types of misconceptions, misunderstandings. You're not gonna have like this type of right understanding and interpretation of like what the word spirituality means. It's kind of like, it's gonna be just vague and stupid to you. You're probably just gonna like see it as like a kind of like a loaded buzzword or something similar, or something. You're just gonna see it as like something like very stupid. I don't know, maybe you're just gonna like be thinking about like hippies and like ghosts or something stupid like that. Spirituality, that's what I do believe. That if I want to, like, when I say spirituality, a lot of you are just gonna be thinking about like hippies and ghosts and stuff like that. Hippies, ghosts, or something else. I don't know. Well, when I say spirituality, what do you think about? It's like a good little experiment. What comes to mind? I don't know. I believe that, you know, when I say spirituality, a lot of you are just going to be thinking about like hippies, ghosts, or maybe Indian culture. Maybe you're going to be thinking about the Buddha or Hinduism or Sikhism or Buddhism. That's also something that's very interesting. Like when spirituality, when I talk about it, when anyone talks about it, people typically, they think about Indian culture. It's kind of interesting. They think about like Buddhism, Sikhism, Hinduism and stuff like that, and the Buddha and all that type of stuff. It's like very interesting. Yo, look at that scenery, man. Fucking great. I'm getting some sunshine on my face, man. Look at that outside, man. Fucking great. Yo, again, if you've been watching my videos, I do tell you to like get out and get like fresh air and like get sunshine anyway. Spirituality is like so fucking important. It's like so important now to discuss like spirituality. But again, what does the word spirituality mean? I can't off the top of my head fucking remember the more academic definition of like what spirituality means and stuff like that. It's kind of fucking, man, spirituality, I do believe, like I bet like when I say spirituality, you're gonna see a lot of you are gonna be thinking about like ghosts, or like fucking or something stupid, or you're gonna be thinking about hippies, or you're gonna be thinking about like fucking like Buddhism or Hinduism or Sikhism. You're gonna be thinking about Indian culture and yoga and meditation, maybe, perhaps, I don't know. Well, when I say spirituality, what comes to your mind? What comes to your mind? I don't blame you though if you have like, if you see spirituality, if you see us like being very stupid, this type of concept of spirituality. Because if you're from like Europe or America or something similar, you're gonna have like your understandings of like spirituality are gonna be so like heavily corrupted by like media and cartoons and movies, all these like things like to do with pop culture, that they've probably like completely tainted your understandings of spirituality, what spirituality means, and etc. and stuff like this. When I say spirituality, what comes to mind? I bet you're gonna be thinking about like hippies, ghosts, or maybe you're gonna be thinking about like Indian culture, Hinduism, Buddhism, Sikhism, meditation, yoga, maybe, perhaps, I don't know. Spirituality is so fucking important. A lot of us like now like so materialistic. A lot of us, this is why I'm even making this video, because like this video is so important to make, because like if you're like, a lot of us, we've become like so materialistic, man. I'm telling you, it's so fucking sad. It's so sad that a lot of us human beings, we become like so materialistic and stuff. So fucking materialistic. All we care about is like, a lot of us, we only now all care about like getting a lot of money, sleeping with a lot of attractive women, getting a lot of expensive cars, all these types of things. That's what most of us care about now. It's kind of, there's nothing wrong with caring about these types of things. Of course I care about these things as well a little bit, like getting a lot of money, sleeping with a lot of attractive women and stuff, getting cars, expensive cars. I do care about that as well, but still there has to be something more. Because if you only care about these types of things, you're going to be so like, as a human being, you're not going to be complete. You're going to have like this emptiness inside of you. I'm telling you, you're gonna have like this type of emptiness inside of you. It's so important, like that you care about things that are more like profound and meaningful. Yeah, you don't just care about like fucking getting a lot of money, sleeping with a lot of women and whatever, and getting a lot of expensive cars, whatever you might be into. You might have some other types of materialistic desires. I don't know. This is so important. It's fucking, look at the scenery, man. I fucking love being outside, man. It's the greenery, man. It's fucking so great. Anyway, materialism is like fucking horrible. That's why I'm making this video about spirituality. Spirituality is fucking so important, that you consider like spirituality and a spiritual path. Again, but what is spirituality? It's kind of vague. When I say spirituality, a lot of you are going to be thinking about, you're probably going to be thinking about ghosts. You're going to be thinking about ghosts, or you're going to be thinking about like Indian culture, Buddhism, Sikhism, Hinduism, like meditation, yoga. That's what you're gonna be thinking about. I know you, man. I know what you're thinking. When I say spirituality, you're gonna be thinking about like ghosts or hippies, or you'll be thinking about like Indian culture, like Sikhism, Hinduism, Buddhism, or something similar, or meditation and yoga. That's what you're gonna be thinking about. I know what you're. I say spirituality, and you're gonna be thinking about like all these types of things, like hippies, yoga, meditations. Like that's what spirituality is in Europe and America. Like spirituality is just fucking, I hope my GoPro doesn't fucking overheat, man. I like the sunshine. These fucking cameras can't take it, man. Well, I know what you're gonna be thinking about. I'm gonna say spirituality, and you're gonna be thinking about like Indian culture. You're gonna be thinking about like fucking I bet you're gonna be thinking about Indian culture, like Hinduism, Sikhism, Buddhism, or you're gonna be thinking about like ghosts or hippies, or you're gonna be thinking about yoga and meditation. What is spirituality? Obviously, word definitions are very tricky. Man, fucking look at the greenery, man. Fucking, you know, when I was little, I used to play Sonic the Hedgehog. Fucking, that's why it reminds me of, yo. I'm looking at all of these like green fields. It reminds me of like Sonic the Hedgehog. Man, I fucking miss playing Sonic the Hedgehog as a kid, man. Fucking hell. It reminds me, like, look at these like paths, like something that Sonic the Hedgehog would like kind of run around. I used to play like Sonic. That's a big fat side tangent. Look at all this greenery. It reminds me of like Sonic the Hedgehog. Yo, that's so cool, man. Yo, I used to play Sonic the Hedgehog when I was like a lot younger. It kind of brings those like childhood memories back. Fucking out. Anyway, look at the sunshine and greenery. Fuck it, it's getting me kind of a little bit high. I'm actually getting like a little bit high. This makes it hard to make this type of video. The sunshine on my face, but anyway. You definitely need that though. I'm telling you, if you're watching my videos, I do recommend you get out more and stuff and get some freshness in you and get like some fresh air on you and stuff. Damn, but you know, spirituality, what does spirituality mean? It's like so fucking it's been so heavily corrupted. Or like understandings of like spirituality, especially if you're from Europe or America or somewhere else, or maybe like some other types of like European type countries like Australia or something similar, any type of country like from the West, you're gonna have like when I say spirituality, all you're gonna be thinking about is like Indian culture. I guarantee you, you'll be thinking about Hinduism, Buddhism, Sikhism. You'll be thinking about meditation, yoga, or you're gonna be thinking about ghosts or hippies or something like this. That's what spirituality is now. It's fucking kind of sad. Okay, but what is spirituality then? If you tell us what it is, then if you're so smart and intelligent, I don't know. I think that spirituality is about like looking into like the human soul and just like finding meaning in like the human soul, like coming to peace with the world around you, something similar to that. I don't know. Finding some type of greater existential purpose. That's what I think spirituality is about. That's what I think spirituality is about. Looking into the human soul and finding like some type of greater purpose and fulfillment and contentment, not by like chasing materialistic desires and things, but like by looking into the human soul and finding some type of greater profound meaning there and being more fulfilled and content and stuff. It's kind of weird. It's kind of like, obviously, spirituality, there's like more academic definitions and you know, when we're discussing like word definitions, look at the greenery. I fucking love it. When we're discussing like word definitions, it's so tricky because you can define things in so many different types of ways. Spirituality is so interesting to me. Spirituality, the concepts, is so important. If you're only going to be like if you're not going to give two fucks about spirituality, whatever that means, I'm actually having a lot of difficulty even properly defining the word, but obviously you can go onto Google and look up like the more academic definition, but to put it into my own words, I believe that spirituality is about looking into the human soul, looking into ourselves and looking for like greater, more profound meanings, not just by looking at the material world, but looking into our own souls and stuff, into our own psyche and our mentality and stuff, and trying to find greater purposes and meanings and values and stuff in this world, not just by chasing materialistic things, but by analyzing ourselves and stuff and being introspective and like becoming more like content. Damn, man, it's fucking always, you know, when you film videos outside, it's always fucking tricky. You don't know if someone's gonna come up and bang you up on the head, man. Sorry, yo. Very scary indeed. Spirituality, what does that word even mean? You're talking about spirituality, you're not even telling us what it means, because it's like very tricky. You can go on Google and look up the word spirituality if you want, but I like putting things in my own words. To put it into my own words, I believe that spirituality is about looking into like the human soul, looking into our own psyche and mentality, and like trying to like find like greater, like more profound meanings inside of us, and like and trying to like look for like greater, more existential purposes and meanings and values and stuff, not just by like chasing materialistic things. I believe spirituality is about like kind of like rejecting the material world and looking into ourselves and looking for like meaning and stuff like that, contentment. That's what I believe it is. That's what I actually it's all like subjective and stuff like that. I do believe it's like, it's very difficult to properly obviously word definitions, you can look up like the more academic definitions. I like putting it in my own words though. I believe that spirituality is basically like, instead of like chasing the material world, we look into our own like psyches and mentalities and stuff like that, and we find like meaning inside of ourselves and stuff like that, and our purposes and stuff. We look for more existential things, not material things that are like very temporary and disappear quickly, but we look for like more existential things. We become introspective, we look into ourselves as well, we look into our human souls and stuff, and we search for like greater, more profound meanings and stuff, and we come to peace with ourselves. That's what I sort of believe that spirituality is. Obviously word definitions are very tricky, and there's like word definitions are like all subjective and stuff, and you're gonna have your own opinions. Look at that shit, man. The greenery, man. Spirituality is so fucking important, though. It's so important. You cannot be like fucking an ignorant retard. You can't like fucking not even consider spirituality. It's so important. If you're only going to be like a materialistic person, you only want to get like a lot of money, get sleep with a lot of attractive women and whatever, get expensive cars, whatever, you could be so fucking disappointed by the end of your life, because you're just gonna be like you're not gonna be feeling complete. You're gonna be missing like this type of internal like fulfillment and joy. by like, because because you're not going to be considering like a spiritual half a spirituality and stuff. You're going to be like so like you're not going to be complete. As human beings, we need like something spiritual. We need some type of a divine connection inside of us and stuff. Otherwise we're just going to like become so like we're just going to be feeling incomplete. We're not going to have like this type of completeness to us, and we're not going to be feeling fulfilled and full. That's what spirituality is, in my opinion. To like look, instead of like chasing the material world, we look inside of ourselves, and we look at the more existential perspectives and stuff, and we kind of like figure out like what we're here for and stuff, and like why are we existing and stuff. We kind of become introspective, and we kind of become more contemplating and stuff like that. If you want to like know what spirituality means, you can kind of like look at the lives of like Siddhartha Gautama, the Buddha, aka the Buddha, and Prophet Muhammad and stuff like that, which is kind of interesting. But like both these guys, during when they became a little bit older, they started to like become more meditative and contemplative. You know, the Prophet Muhammad, he went to like the cave of Hira, and he was starting to like that was like a place where he went to and stuff to meditate, to contemplate and stuff, to think about like these more important existential issues. And Siddhartha Gautama, he like was sitting down behind a lotus tree and stuff, and he was like becoming introspective. He was like kind of trying to figure out like, again, these types of existential issues, like where they come from and what the answers are and stuff. That's what spirituality is. If you want to know what spirituality is, like study the lives of like Siddhartha Gautama, the Prophet Muhammad and stuff. Study their lives. Look at what happened to these guys. Look at what they were doing. Look at what they were thinking about. Both of them, like when they were like becoming older, they start to like retreat somewhere, and they were starting to like meditate and become more meditative and contemplative and stuff. And they were like analyzing and thinking about like all these very important existential issues. What is spirituality? What does that mean? I believe that spirituality is about like not chasing the material world, but like looking at the more like existential side of things, the more like profound side of things, looking at things that are like beyond this world and like trying to find meaning there and stuff. That's what I think spirituality is. Obviously it's like kind of like all subjective, and opinions and word definitions are tricky as well. I don't know. Spirituality is so important. If you're only going to be like a materialistic person, you're only going to be caring about like getting a lot of money, sleeping with a lot of women, getting a lot of expensive cars, you're going to be in for like such a big surprise. You're going to be so like, you're not going to be feeling complete. You're going to be like so depressed and like a little bit depressed, yeah, and sad and like emotionally unstable and stuff, and you're gonna have like all these issues with your like mentality and mental health and stuff. Because again, like materialism. Look at Robin Williams. That guy offed himself. He had like he could sleep with all the attractive women. He had all the money, and he had like a nice career, and he had everything going for him. But he fucking offed himself. Why is that? It's because like money and all these types of things, expensive cars, women, all these types of things are like, they're not going to complete you. They're just like fucking so temporary and meaningless in the end. That's why spirituality is so fucking important. But what is spirituality? Again, you're probably just going to be thinking about like, when I say spirituality, a lot of you are going to be thinking about like ghosts, or you're going to be thinking about Indian culture, Hinduism, Buddhism, Sikhism and stuff. Or you'll be thinking about like meditation and yoga. If you want to like properly know what like spirituality is, I do encourage you like to study the lives of like Siddhartha Gautama and the Prophet Muhammad. Study the lives of these two important individuals, and you'll understand what spirituality is. I'm telling you. Get like go onto the internet, buy like a biography of like the Prophet Muhammad and the biography of like Siddhartha Gautama, the Buddha, and carefully study their lives. That's what spirituality is. A lot of you are going to be like so super ignorant and kind of dumb. When I say spirituality, you're just going to be thinking about like, I bet you're going to be thinking about like ghosts, hippies. You're going to be thinking about Indian culture, Hinduism, Buddhism, Sikhism. You're going to be thinking about like yoga and meditation. That's what you're going to be thinking about. I know that. I know you. I know what you're thinking about, man. I know what you're going to be thinking about. Get that out of your head. If you want to know what spirituality is, look into like study the lives of like Siddhartha Gautama and the Prophet Muhammad. These guys, as they became older, they start to retreat somewhere, and they were like deeply meditating, contemplating on like all these important existential issues. They weren't like concerned about the material world. They were looking at like the more existential side of things, the more profound side of things. That's what spirituality is, in my opinion. Obviously, word definitions. And so when you can go onto Google and you can type in spirituality, and you'll get like a more dictionary Oxford definition. But I like putting things in my own words and stuff like that. And to put it into my own words, I believe that spirituality is about like not chasing the material world, but like looking at like the more existential side of things, the more profound side of things. That's more important in the end. Again, materialism, if you're only going to be caring about like getting a lot of money, sleeping with a lot of attractive women, getting a lot of expensive cars, all these types of things, you're gonna have like this void inside of your heart. You're gonna have literally like a hole inside of your heart. You're gonna be like so like miserable and depressed, because these types of things, money, expensive cars, women, obviously they feel good to have. Like it feels good to like sleep with a lot of attractive women, get like a lot of expensive cars, get a lot of money coming your way and stuff. All of these things, they feel like good. They give you like this type of like very like primitive like dopamine like release and stuff. They give you like this very primitive pleasures and stuff like that, because you're stimulating your monkey brain, and you're getting like these types of like rewards from that. But you know, spirituality like these materialism fucking leads to nowhere. That's why, you know, all these celebrities, they fucking off themselves, like Robin Williams, all these other like rich celebrities. They have all the money, they can sleep with all the attractive women, they can get all the expensive cars, they still fucking off themselves. It's because these types of things, like these types of materialistic things, like money, cars, women, whatever you want to call it, these types of things, they don't like fill that type of hole in your heart, man. That hole that can only be filled by like spiritual things. But what is spirituality? If you want to know what spirituality is, I encourage you to like to study the lives of like Siddhartha Gautama and the Prophet Muhammad. You can find like a ton of biographies on them on YouTube, or you can get like real physical copies. Take 1 complete. Take 2. Alright, spirituality is so important. Very, very important. Spirituality is super, super important, man. Spirituality is so fucking important. Oh, shoot, look at the scenery around here. Switch it up. By the way, you know, now from now on out, I'm gonna like record for like the first 20 minutes and take a break. That'll be like take 1, and then we're like record again. That'll be like take 2. I should have did this before. I'll make sure like the camera is working properly and it doesn't overheat. Anyway, I wanted to like kind of now talk about fucking I wanted to now talk about like yeah, spirituality again. Super fucking important. Spirituality is so fucking important that you consider a spirituality. And when I say spirituality, I know what you're gonna be thinking about. You're gonna be thinking about like Indian culture and stuff like that. You're gonna be thinking about Indian culture and all that other type of stuff. You're gonna be thinking about like Indian culture and stuff like that. Fucking something else. I don't know, Indian culture, Hinduism, Buddhism, Sikhism. You're gonna be thinking about probably like Buddha, like meditation and like yoga and something else like that. That's what you're gonna be probably thinking about when I say like spirituality. Spirituality, I mean, I'm telling you for sure, I'm telling you like 100% that if you like don't give 2 fucks about like spirituality and stuff, you're gonna be like so fucking disappointed by the end of your life. You're gonna be like so fucking disappointed by the end of your life. I'm telling you, if you don't give 2 fucks about spirituality, you're gonna be like so disappointed by the end of your life. You're not gonna be feeling as fulfilled as you would be if you like considered like a spiritual path, a spiritual journey. If you considered spirituality and stuff like that. Spirituality is fucking so fucking important. Like, look at all the, like, if you only like care about materialism, again, I was talking about this earlier, materialism, if you only care about like materialistic things, you'll be like so fucking you're gonna be like so run down. Your mental health is gonna be like ruined. You're gonna be like so like, as a person, you're gonna be so like horrible. You're gonna have like all these types of issues, mental health problems and stuff. If you're gonna be like super materialistic, if you're only gonna like consider things like getting like, if you're only gonna be caring about like getting a lot of money, sleeping with a lot of women, getting like a lot of expensive cars and something similar to this, and that's all you're gonna care about, then you're gonna be like so fucking you're gonna have like so many different types of mental health problems, physical health problems as well. Maybe because you might be drinking alcohol and doing drugs. I don't know. It's so important that you do consider like spirituality. But what is spirituality? It's so kind of like vague and stupid. What is spirituality? If you're like from like Europe or America and something, you're gonna be thinking like, and when I say spirituality, you're just gonna be thinking about like hippies or veganism, maybe, I don't know, vegetarianism, like maybe, I don't know, maybe you might be thinking about Indian culture, like Hinduism, Buddhism, Sikhism and something similar. You're gonna be thinking about like these types of things that aren't really like, that don't really like even like represent what spirituality actually is. To put it into my own words, spirituality is basically that the human being, we don't chase the material world. We chase things that are more like important and like existential and like more like introspective and stuff, and more to do with our soul. That's what spirituality is, in my opinion. We don't chase the material world. Look at this material world. All of this, everything you see around me is going to disappear in like a cajillion years. Maybe not even a cajillion years. Everything in this material world. This is why, if you're like a materialistic person, if you only care about like materialism and stuff, you're gonna be like so fucking depressed as a person, as a human being. You're gonna be like so like depressed. You're gonna be horrified. You're gonna be like so anxious and confused and like upset, and you're not gonna feel like complete and fulfilled. Why is that? It's because if you only care about like materialistic things, the material world, and all of these types of things. Look at this type of world I'm in. All of this is gonna like disappear. All this nice greenery, all of these like all these plants, vegetation, buildings, infrastructure, technology, all of this, after like a couple hundred, maybe even like 1,000 billion years, all of it's just gonna go away. It's all gonna disappear. All of these like materialistic things are gonna disappear and stuff. They're not gonna last. Nothing. If you only care about like materialistic things, if you only care about materialism, you're gonna be like so like horrified and depressed as a person, because you're gonna realize quickly that all these materialistic things are gonna disappear in the end, and even you are gonna disappear. You're gonna like go into the grave and stuff. That's why spirituality and caring about like things that are spiritual is so important. But what is spirituality and stuff? It's so vague, especially if you're from Europe. If you're from Europe or America, you're gonna be thinking, when I say spirituality, you're gonna be thinking about like probably you're gonna be thinking about like ghosts or like hippies, or you're gonna be thinking about like Indian culture, Hinduism, Buddhism, and Sikhism. That's what you're gonna be thinking about. I know you. That's what you're gonna be thinking about. I said this earlier. You're probably gonna be thinking about like you're probably gonna be thinking about like Indian culture and stuff like that, Hinduism, Buddhism, Sikhism, or something similar. That's what you're gonna be thinking about. You're gonna be thinking about all these types of things that aren't really like that don't properly represent what actual spirituality is. You're gonna be thinking about these types of things that are like so like that don't really represent what spirituality is. It's kind of like very ridiculous to me. Spirituality is like so fucking super important. But what is spirituality? Because I know what you're gonna be thinking. You'll be thinking about like ghosts and hippies and maybe Indian culture, Hinduism, Buddhism, Sikhism. You're probably gonna be thinking about like yoga and like meditation and stuff like that. Is that what spirituality is? I don't know. Those types of things, they do like kind of like link and relate to spirituality in like some type of way. Hopefully someone doesn't fucking come up to me and jack my shit up, man. Fucking hell. Making videos outside is so fucking tricky, man. Good thing, like, you know, like GoPros, if you want to be a YouTuber and you want to film videos outside, I'm telling you, you gotta get like a GoPro, something similar to that. You can't like fucking have like a gigantic 4K camera and go around outside filming videos. It's gonna fucking give so many different types of people. They're gonna like look at you funny, man. I'm telling you. If you have like a little GoPro, people, they're just gonna think that you're talking to someone on the phone. That's what typically happens. But anyway, you know, like, what was I thinking about? And talking about, oh yeah, I was talking and thinking about like fucking the spirituality. That is so fucking important. If you're just gonna be like a materialistic person, materialism, all that type of stuff, if you're only gonna care about like getting a lot of money, sleeping with a lot of women, expensive cars, all these types of things, in the end you're gonna be like so, as a person, you're gonna be like, as a human being, you're gonna be so horrified and depressed. Because these types of things disappear. These types of things like materialism, it's like, this is why materialism is so fucking dumb and stupid. Because materialism, in the end, all like materialism is kind of like fucking, it becomes kind of like pointless. It becomes so pointless, materialism, caring about like these very materialistic things like money, women, cars, all these types of things. In the end, all of that just kind of fucking goes away and it just disappears forever. It becomes kind of like pointless. Materialism does become kind of like, it does become pointless. Think about it, you like money, cars, women, all that type of stuff, you get it, and then you still have that hole inside of your heart, man. You still have like a hole inside of your heart. That hole is not going to get filled unless you consider like some type of spiritual path, spiritual journey, spirituality. Spirituality is like so fucking important. If you do not care about, if you don't care about spirituality, you're gonna be so fucking depressed and horrified as a human being. As a human being, you're gonna be like so fucking fucking depressed and horrified and fucking sad. Spirituality is so fucking crucial. It's so important that you consider like a spiritual path. Spirituality is so fucking important. What is spirituality? I know what you're going to be thinking about. You're going to be thinking about Indian culture, Hinduism, Buddhism, Sikhism. You're going to be thinking about fucking yoga, meditation, some other dumb shit. You're going to be thinking about like all of these like dumb shit things, like fucking meditation, yoga, maybe. That's not dumb shit. That's actually could be like very practical and useful to like consider like meditation, yoga and stuff. But a lot of like, when I say spirituality, you're going to be thinking about like a lot of dumb shit, man. A lot of dumb things. Look at that helicopter. Yo, shit. Helicopter, man. Fucking great. Meditation, yoga. So important. Not meditation, yoga, but like be considering like a spiritual path, spirituality. That is so fucking important. This materialistic world, it's not gonna last. That's what I'm telling you. It's gonna, everything in this materialistic world is gonna disappear and stuff. Everything in this materialistic world is gonna go away someday. And what's gonna be left is like, even you're gonna be not here anymore. You're gonna be like gone because the aging process and stuff. You're like age. You're gonna like age and get older and older and older and stuff. You're gonna age rapidly and stuff, turn older and stuff, and then that's kind of like, it's gonna be like quite horrifying, isn't it? That's gonna be very horrifying, isn't it? Materialism, like, this is why materialism is fucking like it is atrocious. if you're only going to be like if you're only going to consider like materialistic things, if you're not going to give two fucks about spirituality, as a human being, you're going to be like so like depressed and miserable and sad and like anxious, and probably gonna like develop suicidal depression or something, and you might even consider suicide. Look at like against celebrities like Robin Williams, these guys, these rich people, some of them like kill themselves. Why is that? Because they have everything going for them, but they so off themselves. It's because, you know, in terms of like us human beings, like in terms of like our fulfillment, like all these materialistic things, like getting expensive cars and all that kind of stuff, all these types of things, it feels good to have them, but those feelings are so like temporary and meaningless and ultimately short-lived. These feelings, they start to like kind of like disappear after a while. But, you know, back to like the topic of this video, which is spirituality. Spirituality is like so important. Spirituality is like so fucking important. Spirituality is like so fucking important, man. If you're only gonna be like materialistic, caring about like materialistic things, you're gonna be like so like horrified and depressed and sad as a human being. You're not going to be feeling complete. You're going to have like this type of hole inside of you. You're going to have like this type of hole inside of you. You're not going to feel complete if you don't consider any type of spiritual path, spirituality. What is spirituality? How would you define that word? Obviously there's academic definitions and stuff. To put it into my own words though, spirituality is like not chasing the material world, but like looking at things from a more existential perspective, more existential things, being more concerned about like more existential like matters and issues and stuff like that. Not just like the material world. You're not just like caught up with the material world, but you're looking into the human soul. You're looking into yourself and stuff, and you're meditating, contemplating over like this entire world and stuff, and this reality and stuff, and you're like trying to like figure out what is the ultimate end of everything and stuff. That's like what, like, to put into my words, spirituality is about us human beings. We try and like realize what is the ultimate reality, and we try and align ourselves to that. That's what spirituality is, in my opinion. Us human beings, we try and like figure out what the ultimate reality is, and we try and like align ourselves to that. That's what spirituality is, to put into my own words. Spirituality is so fucking important. It's so like dubious. So what does it mean, spirituality? It's like such a fucking dubious term, man. It's so fucking dubious. What does it mean? What does spirituality mean and stuff like that? It's like so dubious, so vague, so stupid. What's that terminology mean? Spirituality. It's like such a dubious term, but in my own words, I would say that it basically translates to like us human beings. We don't chase the material world. We look at things from a more existential perspective. We think about the more existential side of things and stuff like that. That's what like a spirituality is. We look at the more existential side of things, the more like profound side of things. We look at things that are like beyond this physical material world, and we look at like what it means, like what the ultimate reality is, and we kind of like, we concern ourselves with those types of things, not just like this physical material world. We look at like the more existential side of things, the more existential side of things. Yeah. We look at the more existential side of things. We look at the more existential side of things. That's what spirituality is. We don't only think about like this physical material world. We look at the more existential side of things, and we try and figure out like what the ultimate reality is and stuff like that. That's what spirituality is about. That's what spirituality is. I'm not chasing the material physical world, but like looking at the more existential side of things. That's what like spirituality is about. Yeah, man. If you're not gonna give two fucks about spirituality, if you're just gonna be like concerned about like materialism in this materialistic world, I'm telling you, you're gonna be like so like you're gonna be in for like such a bad surprise. You're gonna be like so depressed. As a human being, you're gonna be so depressed if you only care about like the fucking this materialistic world and stuff like that. You're not gonna, if you don't care about like spirituality at all, you're gonna be like so like, as a human being, you're gonna be like so fucking lost, depressed, and sad. You're gonna have like a hole inside of you. I'm telling you, if you don't give a fuck about like spirituality and all these types of things, you'll be like so like incomplete as a human being. You'll be like so empty and lost. You're not gonna feel this type of great fulfillment. You're gonna be like so As a person, you'll be like so lost and depressed. I'm telling you, spirituality is like so fucking important, man. So fucking important. So important that you consider it like a spiritual path. Spirituality, that you consider spirituality and stuff like that. If you don't give two fucks about spirituality, you're gonna like be so fucking lost as a human being. You're gonna be like so depressed, anxious, sad. You're not gonna feel complete. You're gonna have all these emotional problems and issues and stuff. Spirituality is like so fucking important. Spirituality is like so fucking crucial and important. Spirituality, that you consider some type of spiritual path. Spirituality. Damn, man, I'm telling you, look at Robin Williams, look at all these celebrities. If you're only gonna care about the materialistic world, you're gonna be so fucking depressed and lost and sad and like upset and hurt inside as a human being. As a human being, you're not going to feel like any type of great fulfillment. That's what spirituality is about. You don't chase the physical material world. You look at like the more existential side of things. You become more concerned about like these more important existential issues and topics, and that's what you concern yourself with. You don't just fucking think about like this materialistic world. You'll be so lost and sad and upset, and I'm telling you, if all you care about is like this physical material world, you'll be like so fucking depressed and sad, and like at the end of your life you're gonna be horrified because you lived for nothing basically, because all these materialistic things are gonna disappear in the end and you're gonna die as well and you're gonna go into the grave. That's why spirituality is so important. But what is spirituality and stuff? When I say spirituality, you're probably gonna be thinking about like fucking Hinduism, Buddhism, Sikhism and stuff like that. Hinduism, Buddhism, Sikhism. That's what you'll be thinking about. Hinduism, Buddhism, Sikhism, or something similar. Or you'll be thinking about like Indian culture. Yeah, Indian culture. You'll be thinking about Indian culture. You're gonna be thinking about like meditation, yoga, or something similar. You're gonna be thinking about all of these like dumb shit things that are sort of like related to spirituality. But spirituality, like if you want to properly know what spirituality is, I encourage you like to study the lives of like Siddhartha Gautama, the Prophet Muhammad. These guys, as they became very mature, they started to like retreat away from like their society, and they were like deeply meditating and contemplating over like very important existential issues, and they were looking into their own souls and stuff. And that's what spirituality is. If you want to know what spirituality is, study the lives of like Siddhartha Gautama, the Buddha, and study the life of the Prophet Muhammad. These guys, as they became very mature, they started to like retreat away from their society, and they were like deeply meditating and contemplating over like very important existential issues, and they were looking into their souls, and they were like becoming more relaxed, and they inevitably experienced some type of enlightenment. And that's what spirituality is. Materialism, if you're not going to give two fucks about spirituality, you're just going to be like a materialistic person. You're going to be like so horrified at the end of your life, because you're going to realize that materialism is kind of like it's self-defeating. It doesn't lead to anywhere meaningful. It's like a hamster on a wheel again. A hamster on a wheel. You're chasing things that are like so like ultimately meaningless and temporary. Materialism, like it's like a hamster on a wheel. You want to experience fulfillment and happiness and stuff like this, but you're like a hamster on a wheel. You're chasing these types of materialistic things, and they're not making you happy, and it's like an endless cycle, man. It's like a drug addict taking drugs. He wants to like feel like some type of like great amount of pleasure, but it's always short-lived, and he always has to take more drugs to like feel good about himself. What was this? The topic of this video is like spirituality. Spirituality is so fucking important. If you're only gonna be like materialistic and stuff, you're gonna be like so fucking you're gonna be like so depressed. As a human being, you're not gonna be like complete. You're gonna have like this hole inside of you, and this hole can only be like filled like this hole can only be like kind of like put like in place, like the hole can like kind of be repaired by like considering spirituality. Spirituality is so important. But what is spirituality? A lot of you just gonna be thinking about like hippies, ghosts, maybe, I don't know, Indian culture, Hinduism, Buddhism, Sikhism. If you want to know what spirituality is, I do encourage you to study like the life of the Prophet Muhammad and Siddhartha Gautama and the Buddha. Study their lives. These guys were like so like, as they became very mature, they start to retreat away from their society, and they were like deeply meditating, contemplating over like very important existential issues. That's like so important. That's like so important. That's like so important, man. If you want to know like what spirituality is, you gotta study the life of like Siddhartha Gautama, the Buddha, and the Prophet Muhammad and stuff. That's like so important. That's like so important. If you want to like know what spirituality is about, If you want to know like what spirituality is, you need to like study the life of the Prophet Muhammad and Siddhartha Gautama. The Prophet Muhammad and Siddhartha Gautama, that's like those guys. You need to study their lives if you want to know. If you want to know like what spirituality is. If you want to know like what spirituality is about, you gotta study the life. Study the life of like the Prophet Muhammad and Siddhartha Gautama. So important. You gotta like study the life of like the Prophet Muhammad and Siddhartha Gautama and stuff like that. That's what spirituality is like. As, you know, Prophet Muhammad, Siddhartha Gautama, these guys, as they became like very, very mature. As they became like very, very mature, the Prophet Muhammad and Siddhartha Gautama, as they became like very, very mature, they started to like retreat away from their society, and they were deeply meditating, contemplating over like very important existential issues. That's what spirituality is. I don't want this video to be too long, and that's about it.